AJT Jungle, welcome back. We are getting ready to start. I think this is the fifth segment in the power of habits. And just like any other good teacher, along the way, we have, as a teacher or as a classroom teacher, we had our lesson plans. And then we had our pacing guide, which told us where we needed to be, like what we needed to cover this day, what we needed to cover by the end of the week, where we needed to be by the end of the month, how long it takes us to do each chapter, and all of this. So we had this pacing guide, but good teachers do not marry that guide. They only move on when the class has mastered what they're teaching. So what I would do is, if the class, let's say the class mastered it faster than I anticipated, then I'm going to move on. I'm going to be ahead of the game. And then I run into an area where maybe I didn't teach the lesson that well, or maybe I didn't have enough in it to help the students get it. So I have to spend an extra day or two teaching this concept. And so it throws my pacing guide off. And if I was married to the pacing guide, I would lose students by keeping them in a section that they've already mastered, and they would get bored. And then I would lose students when I blow through something that they don't understand. So it's very, very important that if you guys have questions, if you don't want to ask them in the class, send it in the email, and I will address it. And if it's something important enough I feel I need to share with everybody, I'm going to share it in the next class. So that's what we're going to do first here. Alright, so just to review, just to review, last week we talked about how we have the responsibility for changing our habits. Once we become aware of it, and we become aware of our trading habits, our bad trading habits, through journaling and reflection. That's how we determine because sometimes we have bad habits and we don't even think about it. They're autonomous. Habits become autonomous and we don't even think about it. And we could be putting ourselves in a bad position every day, day in and day out, and not even realize it. It's because of a bad habit. So the only way we can find that really is through journaling and reflection. And remember, we established that as a keystone habit. Okay, we established journaling and reflection as a keystone habit. It's the first one that we need to have. And honestly, if you want to be a trader and you have not developed that habit, then guess what? I don't think you're going to make it. Alright, everybody that I've worked with that shortcutted reflection and journaling and just didn't do it, they washed out. I don't even talk to them anymore. They don't make mentoring sessions anymore. And I know why. I don't even have to email them and ask them what's going on, what happened. When we talked, I could tell they didn't do any reflection or journal. I could tell that. And some would admit it, some wouldn't. But that's a keystone habit that you just can't walk away from. Okay, and it's our responsibility to, number one, have that keystone habit, but be able to use it to become aware of the bad habits that we have. We also talked about our routines, which we call organizational habits. They can be dangerous. Our routines can put us in a bad place at the beginning of the day, at the beginning of the trading day. Okay, but a crisis can be dangerous, can change them. There are times when our routines can put us in compromising positions or crises in our trading, but they offer a unique chance to change our habits, our routines, by providing a sense of emergency. Today was a perfect example of where I need to change or I need to establish a routine. Every day for the last 10 years, probably, or more, with the exception of COVID, when everybody was working from home, when my wife gets ready to leave, I go see her off. Okay, it's when my wife says she's getting ready to go, automatically I'm gonna get up and go and see her out. May take 5 minutes, may take 10 minutes, depending on what happens or what she's got going on. So I need today, if you weren't in the futures room, if you were in the main room, you didn't see it, but you might have heard me respond to it or react to it. But I did not, on my stop, I did not put the full position size. I had 25 contracts on. I only put a stop for 15 contracts. Well, in the time that I walked away, gold broke out. I mean, it just ran. And so it only stopped me out 15 contracts. And the other 10 contracts ran. And as it was trying to pull back, I just kind of anticipated, this was the only thing I could do, was add to it and try to get it back toward break even so I can just bail out without it, hurting me. But if I have a routine, if I have a habit in this routine that I double check position size. So what I'm going to have to do in my response to this is this evening, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to write out a process for putting in my stops. And part of that process is going to be checking the amount of contracts that I have on that stop. And that's going to go for equities and for the futures, because I've done it on equities as well. All right, so today, because I don't have that as part of my process to double check the position size on the stop, because of that, I'm going to add to this. And so I'm going to improve my routine. I'm going to make it more solid. And it's going to help keep me out of more bad habits. And see, this was done, I wasn't even thinking about it. I wasn't even thinking about not double checking. I was just assuming that everything would just adjust automatically, which is dumb. All right, so that was last week. So let's get into the questions that I had. And last week, we talked about habits and we talked about routines. And a question I got from more than one person was, what's the main difference between a habit and a routine? And it's awareness. In one word, it's awareness. A routine and a habit, they're both regularly repeated actions. While habits run on autopilot, routines are intentional. So routines need deliberate practice or they'll eventually die out. Okay, like if you have a routine every morning coming into the market to run a scan or to watch a YouTube show, if you start doing that but then you quit, your routine's going to die out. And you're not going to have that routine anymore. Okay, but a habit happens with little or no conscious thought. You just do it. So like when you get up in the morning and you go wash your face, brush your teeth, you probably do it without thinking about it. You just get up and go. You're on autopilot. That's a habit. Okay, but that's a habit that's part of your overall morning routine. And there are parts of that routine that you probably have to think about and make decisions on after you brush your, wash your face, brush your teeth, and all that stuff. Okay, so that's going to be, hopefully that helps you understand. But another example is, let's say you want to add exercise into your routine, which I recommend. I recommend waking up early and going to the gym. Now, what's messed me up and what I'm going to have to figure out is that trading futures, I'm not going to the gym. I'm glued to my laptop, at 6 o'clock in the morning or even before. And instead of going to the gym, I'm stuck, and I can feel the difference. Okay, so exercise, that wasn't I had to be motivated to get up and go exercise. So that's something that just likely will not run on autopilot because it takes too much effort. Okay, you're not going to start exercising on autopilot. Maybe if I had an exercise room in my house, that might help that become more of a habit. But let's say you have a smoking habit. Okay, you'll grab a cigarette, start smoking without even thinking about it. It just becomes part of what you do, part of who you are. And it doesn't take any effort to grab a cigarette and smoke it if you have a habit of smoking. Same thing, and that's why we talked about this earlier. Quitting smoking is very difficult because of the rewards you get from it. And then on top of that, it becomes second nature, a part of your life, which is what a lot of these habits and beliefs that we have, we bring in from our world into the trading world, and they just don't work. And they're very difficult to get rid of. Okay, and that's what drives us just a little crazy. So for a routine to turn into a habit, the behavior will need to happen with little or no thought. So, like I said before, there are going to be habits built into your morning routine. There are going to be certain things you do that's just going to be automatic. And you don't have to think about doing it. In the beginning, yes, but eventually you won't have to think about doing it, and it'll just happen. So let's say you add listening to your Benzinga pre-market prep show, and to your morning routine. And there are mornings for the first month or so you have to remember to cut it on and all of that, but eventually, as part of your routine, you're getting ready to go to something else, and just by habit, you just cut it on. You just click it on. Let's say you're getting ready to look up or do your, scan, and you sit down at your computer, and it's just an automated response to bring up YouTube, and then click on the link for the Benzinga pre-market prep show. That, as part of your overall morning routine, that becomes a habit. As many habits as you can create as part of your morning routine, the better you're going to be and feel going into your trading day. Because you're going to have a lot more mental energy. Because you didn't have to think about anything. You didn't have to focus on anything. Everything was just right there for you. All right. So Is everybody with me so far? You understand that concept? You know what the difference is between habits and routines, and how, as part of our overall routine, we try to build up these habits that become autonomous, and we just do it without thinking. All right, so are we good with that? Or did I put everybody to sleep with that? Hopefully I didn't, because that, I'm telling you, you've got to understand this stuff. You've got to understand it. If you don't, you're going to be part of that 95, 96% that won't make it in this industry. This industry is built on habits and routines, and it's all part of you developing them as part of your mindset. And any professional trader will tell you that. All right, so now the next question I got was, how long does it take to change and form a new habit? Well, the short answer is it depends on you. Okay, but in a study that they did in 2009, they found that on average, building habits take around 66 days before the behavior change becomes automatic. Now, E.T., Eric Thomas, says 20 days. If you do the same thing for 20 days in a row, it's going to become habit. Yeah, you have some that says 30 days. But this study said, 66 days. But there was a kicker into this. Okay, that 66 days was an average. So to further break it down, the choice of habit was a major part of how long it took. And it could be anywhere between 18 days and 254 days. So the 66 days is an average of everybody. But it depended on the person, and it depended on the habit. Some habits are harder to break. Do you think you can stop smoking in 18 days? I doubt very seriously you can do that. Okay, I doubt very seriously if you can do that. Okay, that habit, and Alan, you hit the nail on the head. It is a lifestyle change. It is a lifestyle change. And it takes longer for those types of changes to occur. And as we talked about earlier, let's back up to last week or 2 weeks ago with the Starbucks example. If you're presented with a crisis and you don't have a crisis intervention as part of that habit, guess what? When you run into a habit of stress or something else, run into a problem, you get stressed or something else, guess what? That bad habit's going to come back in play without you even thinking about it. Before you know it, you've grabbed a cigarette and you're smoking it. It's just that fragile, when you come to start changing some of these habits. And that's why, some of those are going to be easier to form than others. Okay, here's another example. Replacing coffee with green tea. It might be faster than just giving up caffeine altogether. There's some of us that Like I drink maybe a half a cup of coffee a morning. I have to throw away at least half of my cup of coffee every day. But I've got to have it. It's not, the half a cup is not going to hurt me. The half a cup of caffeine in the coffee is not going to bother me. So this is a lifestyle change that really I don't need to change. But let's say I have a medical condition and I can't have caffeine anymore, or there's something in coffee that I can't drink, and they're telling me, you just need to give up caffeine. Well, maybe green tea would be an option. It may have less caffeine content, and it might be a step on the way to me changing this habit of needing a cup of coffee or some stimulant or something that I perceive to be a stimulant and that I perceive I need to start my day. Because it's going to be hard. Same thing with when you're trying to stop smoking and you use the nicotine patches. Okay, yeah, that may help you with your nicotine craving. But for some people, there's a craving of doing something with their mouth. Having something in their mouth and in their hands, and that could be an issue. So nicotine patches won't help. It's even harder to replace cigarettes with hard candy. Maybe a hard candy like a cigarette. That, maybe it's not the nicotine, maybe it's the habit of putting something in your mouth and having something there. You just don't know until you get into it. But the bottom line is, how long it takes the habit to form is going to depend on how motivated you are, and then how much effort it's going to take to fix that. How deeply ingrained in you is that habit you're trying to break. Okay, let's think about, now can anybody tell me, I'm thinking of one habit that's extremely hard to break in trading. So you guys name me one habit that's extremely hard to break in trading. Okay, I'll take over trading. It's not what I'm thinking about, but not being able to stop trading is one thing. Yeah, patience is another. It's not the one that I'm thinking about, but that is one. Yeah, I'll put stopping with a daily target. I'll put that in with overtrading, because you're not able to stop trading. But there's one key issue that is so damn hard for traders, new traders, and it's something that I'm dealing with several mentees right now. Yeah, you can throw risk management in it. That's not what I'm thinking about. What I'm thinking about is accepting loss, or accepting being wrong on a trade. That's the main issue that I'm having trouble with. It's like everybody is focused on being perfect. It's like, if a trade doesn't work out, what did I do wrong? And how can I fix it? What did I do wrong? I'm like, nothing. You did everything right. You're gonna have losing streaks. You're gonna go through these. And same with, I'm working with a lot of mentees that are trying to pass their challenges, they'll pass their evals no problem. And then they get ready to go into the performance. Now nothing has changed. You're trading the same account. You're trading on the same platform. Everything is the same. But for some reason, if they take one loss, oh my God, the whole world is coming to an end. God forbid 2 or 3 losses. And then you start worrying about your trailing drawdown, and you start worrying about all of these things, all because you could not change the fact that accepting a losing trade should become habit and routine. It should happen without you thinking about it in the middle of a trading day. You know, you saw me today. My mistake, I dealt with it. I had a hard time putting it behind me. But in 5 or 10 minutes, it was done. It was gone. It was time to get back to business. And that's all part of the habits I created, and how they're part of my routine of dealing with a loss and then getting back engaged. Okay, so I hope this is making sense. But what we're going to wrap up today is we're going to talk about 5 mistakes that we need to avoid when we're changing habits and building new ones. Okay, but before I move on, does everybody understand what we talked about? The 2 questions that I asked, these were the 2 main questions that I got that I wanted to make sure you guys understood before we go forward. Because you got to understand this when you start trying to replace habits. Okay, you're going to have to understand that some are going to be harder than others. Some are going to take longer than others. So we're going to talk about the mistakes that really derail a lot of people when they come in and they're trying to change their process and change, what they're doing. All right, so number 1, this is a big issue. And all of these 5 mistakes are the things I want you to think about this week and focus on it. Okay, these things, I got these from a place, an organization called Better Up, which is it's an organization that helps you become a better you. It's just like anything else. So by not controlling your environment, it's going to create one of the biggest threats to your changing an old habit. Just like, let's say you're trying to eliminate drinking. Okay, let's say you've gotten a habit of stopping by the cigar lounge every day after work, getting a beer and a cigar, and your health is not where it needs to be. Your blood pressure's gone up, things are not good. Your doctor said, look, you need to stop. Or at the very least, limit, what you're going to do. So if you're gonna eliminate smoking a cigar every day and drinking a beer every day, why would you go back to the cigar lounge every day, even though you're not going to engage in that? How hard is it going to be? Now, I'm not saying it's not impossible, but how hard is it going to be when all of your buddies are sitting there drinking and, you know, smoking their cigars and stuff, and you're there? It's going to be very difficult. And then you may come in and say, hey, I'm drinking a Coke, and, you know, you're sitting there chewing on a meat stick, or, you know, chewing on something to kind of help you. And then what happens when you get stressed at work? You have a stressor that hits. Old habit's going to come back because you haven't changed your environment. So controlling your environment is really, really big. And that's why if I really make a mistake, if I just continue to trade like I have no damn sense, what do? I change my environment. I get my fat ass up and walk outside, walk around the neighborhood, do whatever. But I change my environment because I know that if I'm sitting here, I am going to take stupid trades. It's going to be hard for me to resist it, and I might end up just doing it. And that's not good. Okay? So think about it. When I do that, I'm setting the example. I'm not bigger than you. I deal with the same problems, the same issues. And when we have mentor sessions and we're talking through these, I'm talking to you through experience, because everything that you're dealing with, I've dealt with. And if you've closed off and you're unwilling to listen, I can't help you. Alright? So, you want to make sure that your environment supports the changes you want to make. And here they give an example about if you're used to going to grab fast food with coworkers. No, you probably won't stop stress eating and adapt intuitive eating. Instead, you're going to want to hang out with them instead of going to a different location. You know, I don't expect, like, if I get that news from the doctor, I don't expect my buddies to give up what they do every day that brings them joy to support me. That's unfair of me to ask them that. So I have to change. Okay, I have to change. Alright, number 2, you're trying to change too many habits at one time. Remember what I always tell you, even when I'm trading and we're trying to figure out what mistakes we're making, you know, we work on one at a time. If you work on too many at a time, you can create more confusion and end up worse off than you were. So focusing on too many behavior changes at once, it can make you feel overwhelmed and anxious, and you know what anxiety breeds. Okay, you know what an anxiety breeds. Am I right? Am I right? Right. All right, we know that. So next, you're not committed to habit change. You're not committed. That's what our refocus program does when we do it. And of course, we're going to be doing it in the middle of the year, after next quarter we're going to be doing our refocus program. Why? Because most people lose their commitment to getting better. And that's designed to help you recommit. A healthy habit, again, it takes time and repetition. Depending on the habit, it's going to be tough. You're going to have to go through some pain. But that's where resilience and willpower comes in. Remember, willpower is another keystone habit we talked about a couple weeks ago. Okay, we've got to have it. These are things that we have to develop before we get into all the other things. This means being patient and giving yourself some time to achieve your goals. Remember, it takes anywhere between 18 and 254 days to form a new habit. All depends on you, how dedicated you are to doing it, and how dedicated you are. Or, how hard the habit is. All right. Another thing. Number 4, you are too focused on the outcome. Just like your trades. You're too focused on the outcome of the trade. Just focus on the act of trading. Okay? Focus on the act of trading. If you focus on the act versus the outcome, you can stay focused and follow your trading plan. And stay locked in to the market and make adjustments based on what the market is telling you. But if you're focused on the outcome, you're focused on, if I take it here, how much money do I make? Or how much am I down? Or whatever. If you're focused on the outcome, or whether you're right or wrong, or wins and losses, it's not going to work. Okay, those are short-term results. Those aren't long-term results. And like somebody that's just trying to lose some weight for a beach trip, like we're going to the beach in two months, I need to lose 10 or 15 pounds. I don't want to walk around with a little gut. No. Or you're trying to save money. It's not bad to save money for specific things, but you want to keep saving money. You want to have money that you're saving to save, and then you have money you're saving for a new computer. But for some people, they'll save up for what they want, and then they'll blow it. And then next thing you know, something happens, or something else major happens. You don't have any more money left. Okay? And like Alan said earlier, it's a lifestyle change. Some of these habits are going to be lifestyle changes. So you can't focus on short-term outcomes. You're going to have to take small wins. Okay? And focus on adapting your lifestyle. In our case, it's our trading lifestyle. Okay? Because our trading lifestyle and our everyday lifestyle are going to be two different things. There's a different mindset to survive in the real world. And when we come into trading, we do have to flip and change our mindset. Right? All right. Yep, and you're right. It's important to practice delayed gratification instead of instant gratification. And that instant gratification, that's the craving and the habit loop. And that's a bad craving. You don't want that. So, last but not least, you assume small changes don't add up. Just what we were talking about. Just the point, Alan just made. sometimes we give up on changing a habit before it even starts because we don't see it. We can't visualize it changing. No, we can't. We assume that we'll need to make drastic changes that are too difficult. But every day, we have the change to get a little better or a little worse. Instead of worrying about the big picture, start with small, excuse me, realistic changes. Once those small changes have become second nature, you can slowly make bigger ones. Okay, we build up. We build up to it. And that's why when people are trying to diet, or they're trying to stop smoking or stop drinking or whatever, there's steps of breaking, a habits. There's steps. There's steps that we take in order to slowly reach our goals. And these small steps can provide the gratification that we're looking for if we look at these small wins, if we focus on these small wins. And it can build our confidence as we continue to move forward. All right. So, any questions? Any questions? All right, so next week, we're going to look at, we're going to work on building good habits. I was going to start that part of it, but we just started the beginning of it because I wanted to answer those two questions at the beginning. But we'll continue with building good habits, and there's some things that we can do along the way that's going to help us. All right, and it's centered around the habit loop. And as always, if you have any questions that you don't want to ask in here, shoot me an email. I try to get to them every night at a reasonable, at a reasonable time. But like I said, these futures, it takes incredible focus. Okay, incredible focus. Can we build multiple small habits at one time? No, I would not recommend doing that. I recommend working on one habit at a time. You'd be surprised how one habit can affect others, and without you even thinking about it. You wouldn't have even thought they were connected. But they are, and they start affecting other things without you thinking about it. So, small habits, large habits, you just want to focus on one at a time. Like I said, when you start doing too many, you could cause conflict in what you do. And, after that, you're lost. Some people never come back from it. Some people never come back from that. Even with the prop firms now, there is a real high failure rate. That's how prop firms make money as well, off the traders that can't trade. So they make money off traders who can't trade worth shit, and they make money off traders that do trade, that know how to trade, that have a strategy that they can, they can copy. But it's not hard It's just time consuming. It's not hard to do, it's just time consuming. All right. So I'm going to stop this recording. I'm going to get it uploaded. And I might share this on YouTube. I don't know. I haven't done one in a long time. So I might share this segment, but it's still going in the member folder.